Good evening. This is Bronwyn Lucas, licensed professional counselor, your host for tonight's Black Mental Health is Black Health. Our topic tonight is stress. What to do with it, why we have it, and how do we maybe get rid of it. I was thinking about what I wanted to do for a topic, and I talked to several people who were dealing with stress in an unreal way. And I thought tonight, and we've talked about stress before, but I thought what I would do would be to talk about stress from partially from an educational point of view. What is it? How does it impact our lives? How does it impact us physically, mentally, and even spiritually? We might get into that as well. Stress is so real. Um, but before we get started, we have to do some deep breathing. And we're going to have the opportunity to do that more than once in this session tonight as we talk about managing our stress. So if it's your first time here, this is what I want you to do. Put your hands on your stomach. And when I say breathe in, you're going to breathe in so deeply that you're going to feel your stomach extend because you're taking in air not just in your chest, but all the way down, filling those lungs up. I'll count you into 4, and then I'll count you breathing in 4 and out 4. So you'll have that opportunity to do that. So let's just practice. So breathe in, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4. One more. In, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4. That deep breathing can allow you to just take a break from the day, allow you to decompress for a moment. So hopefully it helped. As I said, we're talking about stress tonight. If you're on Facebook, share it so more people can hear and or invite others along. Just some other topics before we get started in the month. Next week, we'll be talking about suicide prevention and looking at suicide in the African American community. The week after that, man, it's springtime. We're going to talk about allergies, breathing. We're going to have a respiratory therapist join us and talk about respiratory care. And the last week of the month, we'll have a doctor, a different doctor from last time, but Annette will be back. But this week, we'll have another doctor come and talk about women's health issues since this is Women's Health Month. So those are the things we have coming up for the month of March. So get ready and hopefully we'll have a good time. So let's dive into this stress. So what I wanted to do was really look at the definition of stress. What is it? But first, let's talk about there's a kind of stress that's a positive stress, and we don't often think of it, and it's called eustress. And eustress is a positive form of stress having beneficial effect on our health, our motivation, our performance, and our emotional well-being. During the positive stress times, we can release endorphins in our brain that make us feel good. It's that feel good chemical. So, what are some times of eustress? EUSTRESS. When you're going on a vacation, getting married, holidays, family gatherings or family reunions, buying a new car or a new house, reconciling with a friend. How those are all very good things, but if you think about it, there's stress associated with it. If you're going on vacation, you want to make sure it's right. Da, 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 all these things. So there's a little stress, but it's a good stress because there's an excitement with it. Thinking about getting married, definitely a beautiful, fun, wonderful time, but that can be stressful. So the eustress is a positive stress. I wanted to just initiate the idea and thought of that, or tell you about that, understanding that not all stress is bad stress. There is that eustress. It can be positive for us. But what is the definition of the stress we think about? So, to get that, I went to the American Psychological Association to get their definition of stress. It is the physiological or psychological response to an internal or external stressor. Stress involves changes affecting nearly every system of the body, influencing how people feel and behave. I always talk about there is not a separation between physical health and mental health, it's all just health. This definition helps perpetuate that an understanding of that, because stress impacts us physically, physiologically, it impacts us, and psychological. It's not separate, it impacts our health. Stress has, we'll talk about the emotional symptoms, but what about physical symptoms? There are actual physical symptoms associated with stress. Some of the things could be heart palpitations, sweating, dry mouth, shortness of breath, fidgeting, accelerated speech, um, an increase in negative thoughts. If you are already having some type of negative thoughts when you're under stress, that increases. And then the longer you're stressed out, the more fatigued you may become. Those are all very physical symptoms. Stress psychologically can lead to symptoms such as depression, um, and other things, which we'll talk about. But let me give you a little further on that definition of stress. That's stress, and then we have severe stress and chronic stress. Severe stress is manifested by a general, is best described in what is called the general adaptation syndrome. And we're going to get to that in just a moment. But when you have that, it causes the mind and body to change. Stress contributes directly to the psychological and physiological disorder and disease, and can affect your mental and physical health, reducing your quality of life. That's when it's severe stress. It actually will, mind, body, totally affected, and it reduces your quality of life. So, what is this general adaptation syndrome? It was initially developed by Hans Selye, and there are three stages. Stage one is the alarm or reaction stage, and it has two parts. One is shock, and when you're in that shock moment of stress, there's a decrease in body temperature, blood pressure, and muscle tone, loss of fluid from the body tissue. So it's a very physiological response. When it's really more of that shock, and the shock that causes you to go into stress. And then there's the counter shock stage, which is an increase in a particular hormone that triggers that defense mechanism that makes you want to fight, flight, or freeze. So this all happens with shock, but the same thing happens when we're too stressed. Our body is in that shock mode. The second stage is the resistance stage. Um, this consists of stabilization of increased physiological levels. You know, you're in that shock stage, everything goes up. So then we're resisting this shock, we're resisting the stress, and you're trying to stabilize. High blood pressure, though, can develop in hypertension when you remain in a stress state too long. You know, we'll talk about how stress can just be there and we can't get rid of it. You try to, the body is resisting it, but man, it won't happen. And then there's the exhaustion stage, characterized by a breakdown um, in so many systems. This is when you remain in that stress stage too long. Here's some things that can happen: sleep disturbance, irritability, you just grumpy and everybody is getting on your nerves, everybody and everything. Severe loss of concentration, that kind of brain fog feeling. Um, um, I can't think. Restlessness, because of an inability to calm your body and rest. There can be trembling, it can impact your motor coordination, fatigue. You're just tired because physiologically and psychologically you're working so hard to manage the stress, it tires you out. Jumpiness, you're just what's going on? You're in that constant state of what? A low startle threshold, everything can, that's part of that jumpiness. Everything can make you jump. You're just not comfortable. You're on edge. So being on edge makes you just jump. When you remain stressed too long, you're more vulnerable to anxiety attacks. Yeah, because it's like the stress leads to anxiety. Then it can also make you more depressed because you're under stress and it's a negative situation in your life that you can't get rid of at the time. That's depressing. And for some, it can also lead to crying spells. All of these things happen in your body because of stress. It is real. Now, everybody experiences stress differently, and our ability to cope can depend on our genetics, the life events, our past, our own personality, our social standing, and our economic circumstances. Because sometimes you can't pay your way out of stress, but maybe you can afford to go do things that can help your stress. So all of these things, stress is something that is it's there. It can be a part of our life. And the same stressful situation, as I said, could look different in different people because everybody experiences stress differently. And there isn't a right or wrong way in terms of how it happens in your life. What can make it wrong is you allow yourself to stay there. So we're going to talk about, so what do you do to get rid of some of that stress? Now, there are some positive ways. We talked about eustress, but other times stress can be useful. Maybe it can push us through fear or pain. We're so stressed, we're in that fight or flight that we go do something. Um, if you have to deliver a speech and you're not one who likes to talk in public, but you've got to do this, you're stressed and you have all this, and as you begin to realize your body is hyped up, it can cause you to focus and get through the event. Um, those stress hormones go up and they'll go back to normal when it's over. But you take that negative and turn it to a positive when you realize, oh, that's what my body is telling me. Okay, body, I got you. I got you. Um, and then there are certain life events that lead to stress. Now that we know what it is, what are some causes of stress? Bereavement and grief. When you're in the moment of bereavement, let's say a loved one has died and you are planning the funeral, if that's the role you're in, that is your job at that time. And it can be very stressful. And the more they were prepared in the beginning, the better it is, the less you have to do. But whatever you have to do, it can be a stressful time. And it can lead to all of those symptoms. Divorce or separation, especially if you were not planning on it, you're not the person who initiated it, and it came by shock, that's stressful. But also being the person who initiated the divorce or separation can be stressful because you've probably been in a stressed situation and state for so long. Now that you do it, to get the nerve to finally leave is stressful. Losing a job causes stress. Financially, emotionally, everything's going on with the loss of a job. Unexpected money problems. Maybe things were going great and you live in almost paycheck to paycheck or paycheck to paycheck, and the car breaks down and you have to get your car fixed because you can't get to work without the car. And if you're like me and live in a city like Arlington, there is no public transportation, so you got to get the car fixed. So you go to get it fixed, and you were living paycheck to paycheck and they want $800 for the car and you're trying to figure out how to get it. You work it out, but getting to the point where you work it out, stressful. Then there's the job. Working on a job can be stressful. No matter what the job, it can be stressful. Some jobs more than others. Some jobs are so stressful, you find yourself unable to maintain. I had a situation where I had a job, and this was the first time in my life I ever experienced anxiety, so I didn't know what it was. So I was like, man, I'm having these moments where I feel like I'm just overcome, and my heart starts beating fast. I could feel it beating, and I would be lightheaded and dizzy and just almost dissociate. And I'm like, so I go to the doctor and like, you know, check out my heart. Something must be wrong because sometimes it's just beating so fast. So the doctor did an EKG. The results of the EKG were my heart was fine, but the amount of stress I was under was destroying my heart, and that amount of stress will kill you because it's going to destroy your heart. And I've talked to other people who've had similar situations where the amount of stress you're under is attacking your body physically. Now, those other symptoms, the fatigue, the irritability, the inability to concentrate, the depressed mood, yeah, I felt those too. But that was all part of job stress, so I thought. But it was having a negative impact on my being. So something had to change. I left the job. Um, there was a study that says people affected by work related stress lose an average of 24 days of work due to health. So if you're in a job where you are not managing the stress, it impacts you, and that you're not only is it impacting that, it is impacting your job performance because you miss time for work. Hmm. Another issue, this life of COVID. We are going back to something different, and we don't quite know what that will be. But mask mandates are disappearing. Some people are like, that's good, but I still need my mask. Others, I just want to be free. I'm moving on. But the impact of 2019 to now, that was stressful. People passing, people dying, being locked in, seeing just all the way such a situation, which is really a health situation, has been so politicized. And you couldn't escape it. COVID was not something you could get rid of, it was part of your life, like it or not. Other societal stressors, police attacks on individuals. Before I got on tonight, I saw a headline that had something to do with the police in the Breonna Taylor case were found not guilty of endangering her neighbors or something. I couldn't look at it. It was going to cause me more stress and upset than I wanted before I did a show talking about stress. So I didn't watch it. So one of the stressors I have listed also is watching the news. The reality of what's going on can be very, very stressful. The last one I'll mention, and this is just a few, systematic racism. And just our political scene as well. We look at everything. I'm so glad the primary is over. If I saw another political ad, I was going to scream because they're all so divisive there, and many are just shedding lies. So it was really hard to watch, and I'm so glad they're over. Maybe you here on Facebook can think of some other stressors. And if so, drop them in the chat and I'll share them. So there's so many things, as you see, that can cause us stress. How do you know when your stress is too much? As I told you, I didn't even realize mine was too much until I went to the doctor, and the doctor said, yeah, it's a problem. So there can be some symptoms or things. Remember, I said it's physical and physiological, your emotions and your mind and body all are impacted by this thing we call stress. So what are some signs of stress? How do you know when these issues have led you to become too stressed to the degree which your physical and mental health can be affected? Well, on the mental side, maybe you're more anxious and everything has you in that feeling of anxiety. It's just like, I just can't do it. I'm just stressed. I just can't take it. And that's how you feel. And then you find yourself saying that. Or maybe you're afraid of everything. Everything makes you jump. Everything makes you look around. You're afraid of what will happen because when you're in this stress state, you're not able to think clearly and your judgment is clouded. Maybe you're more angry or aggressive because you are again in a stress state and you can't think clearly and you're on edge. And so, because you're on edge, you just get angry. Things tick you off. Driving. Maybe part of our the driver issues we see with drivers on the road. People are just angry, but maybe they're angry because they're stressed out. You can be more sad because your emotions, as I talked about earlier, are heightened. So, because they're heightened, you can be even more sad about something that might be simple. It takes on a whole new meaning. You might be more frustrated and irritable because everything gets on your nerves. These feelings can sometimes produce whatever is already there. These feelings can also just be increased because of the stress you're under. What about physically? Those are our mental or psychological feelings. What about mental? Physical. Headaches. Maybe you've never had headaches and all of a sudden you're having headaches. And definitely we'll talk about going to see your physician as well as dealing with a mental health professional. But headaches, nausea, and indigestion and digestive problems. Why? Think about it. If you're really tense and tight and your whole body is tense and tight, it is not going to let you digest your food easily or properly because you're too tensed. It can impact your breathing. Some people hyperventilate when they're in that moment of, as we talked about, the extreme severe stress. You may sweat more. Heart palpitations. There can be aches and pains in your body unexplained because of stress. Long-term stress has been linked to GI problems. It can impact your sleep. It can impact your eating. When you're too stressed, some people stress eat and eat, or want to eat just sugar, or just want one thing that's probably not going to be something that's healthy for your body, and you overeat that one thing. Or some people stress and don't eat. I just can't, I don't want anything to eat. Or, oh, where's the chocolate? I need this, I need that. It can't stop eating, but it can cause a change in your eating habit. So if you're finding you have any of these symptoms, and you're already thinking you're stressed on your job, stressed in any area of your life, and you see any of the psychological or physiological symptoms, you might need to talk to your doctor. It's like, man, I got all these symptoms of stress. What do I do with them? Um, Other things you might do just in general if you're stressed, sometimes you withdraw from other people because you know you're just going to be snapping at them and be irritable, so you just back up. I don't even need to be around people. I'm good. Um, or you could be indecisive and inflexible. You cannot make a decision because it's just too much. You don't have the ability to focus, as we talked about. And some people may smoke, drink alcohol, or take drugs more than usual because you're using it as a self-soothing, self-medicating tool, and that doesn't work, even though people try. Ha. I always like to define the issue, the problem, the concern, and then say, so now what? How do we manage it? So the first part of tonight was all about explaining, really breaking down from a and physical and mental point of view what is stress and how it impacts our body. So hopefully I've helped you do that. The second part is I developed 10 things, 10 tips to help you manage that stress. But before we get to those, we are going to do a deep breathing and relaxation creative visualization exercise. So get comfortable, and I want you to gently close your eyes if you're okay with that. Breathe in, breathe out. Inhale, exhale. One more. Inhale, exhale. I want you to imagine yourself sitting outside in a safe place. You're alone on a front porch of a house that makes you feel safe. The weather is beautiful. It's not cold, it's not hot, it's the perfect temperature for you. The sky is crystal clear blue, and there is a slight breeze just blowing through. As you sit on this porch, you're in a rocking chair, and you rock back and forward, back and forward, relaxing with each rock of the chair. And then you sit still for a moment and you notice your feet and your legs are totally relaxed. So you breathe in and you breathe out, noticing how relaxed you are. You notice that your legs are heavy in the chair and so relaxed. And you breathe in again and you breathe out. You notice that your stomach and chest totally relaxed. So you breathe in again and you breathe out. Your hands, fingers, arms, so relaxed. So you breathe in again and you breathe out. Your shoulders, which usually carry so much tension, don't have any tension at all. Neither does your neck. So breathe in, breathe out. And your head feels light as a feather. You breathe in, you breathe out. Every part of your body feels good. Every part of your body is relaxed. It is wonderful. One more breathe in, breathe out. Think about how good you feel right now and hold on to that feeling as I count backwards from 10 to 1. And when I get to 1, open your eyes and rejoin this moment. But hold on to the feeling of calm, being relaxed from head to toe, feeling safe and secure. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Breathe in. Breathe out. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. One more inhale. Exhale. Hopefully that has made you feel a little more calm and just feeling good. I wanted to do that just to say that is one thing that's number one on the list of how to relax. Learn to deep breathe, put yourself in a state of I'm able to breathe. I'm able to de stress, even for a moment. So let's look at some things you can do. Number one, be tuned into your body, your mind, and your spirit. Notice changes and don't ignore them. When you have more tense muscles, you're more tired, you're having more headaches, you can't sleep, you can't eat, and you don't know why, but you know you are stressed out about the job, or maybe you're not even calling it stress. It's just my job. It just keeps me like that. And yes, I'm working 7 days a week. I just have to get the job done. Hmm. When this is you, get help. Talk to your physician. Get help from a mental health professional. You might need both. Maybe you need help. Maybe there are physical things going on, which is why you're having these physiological symptoms. Or maybe it's just the stress you're under and you need to deal with it. You need both. As I said, this is mind and body. Be willing to make a change. Make yourself a priority. Um, and then ask yourself these questions as you're willing to say, okay, I might need to change. I am my priority. So you should also be mindful of what you put in your body. Are you eating healthy foods? Are you drinking enough water? Are you getting adequate sleep and rest? Are you making time for fun and relaxation? I am too busy for that. That I've been there. That increases the stress. You need that. Just fun. A laugh. The Bible says a merry heart does the soul good. Be able to laugh. Are you smoking or drinking too much? Number three, be willing to relax, which is what we just did. Be willing to practice that. You can take some deep breaths, and imagine yourself in a place that makes you feel calm, makes you feel good. You can do that on your own. You can contact me and you can buy a digital copy of various relaxation exercises and I can talk you through it. Number four, be aware of the people in your life. Maybe you need to rid yourself of negative people. And if you're the negative one in your group, you need to change. Getting rid of that negativity in your life can help you manage the stress better. If you stress is negative energy already. So if you have negative people on top of that, man, that's way too much. Be willing to tap into your creativity. This can mean writing, painting, drawing, coloring, singing, dancing. Doesn't matter. You tap into that right side of your brain and let the creativity flourish. I have started painting. I'm not a great painter. I paint for fun. It allows me to be creative. I have my son decided to hang them up, so he says we're gonna fill this wall up, Mom, because on weekends or just under time of stress, I just go and paint geometric shapes and just it's all abstract but it's fun and it makes me feel good. It's tapping into that creativity. When you can tap into the creative side of your brain, it can help diminish some of the stress because you're using a different part of the brain. And you're going to release some of those endorphins because you can feel good about the creative side. Um, yes. And when you're doing this creativity, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's just for you. So you just do it because it feels good. Um, so you tap into that. Be mindful of your environment. Sometimes you need to declutter. When you're stressed out and things are just too much going on, and you come home to a cluttered house, your physical environment is cluttered, and so is your mind. So there's nothing clear in your life. I've talked to more than one client who said, "Yeah, if I can finally clean up, I'll be better." And I have one who has done that, and she was able to pay somebody to come and clean up. I said, I paid somebody, they cleaned, they got my life in order, my physical life in order in my environment, and she loves it and has maintained it. So if you can't afford somebody, get some friends, get someone. But getting that order to your personal environment can totally help you, because at least when you come in, you typically, people will find when your bedroom is in order, you can actually sleep better. Get rid of the things out of your bedroom that may be distractors, may cause stress, which is why it is recommended that you don't go to bed with your computer in your bed. You don't even work in on your computer in your bed. Okay, I'm guilty. I do that one. But when I find myself stressed out, I'm not working anymore. Have a cutoff time. I'm not working past this time. And that's when you go do something creative, you do something fun, you laugh, you turn on something funny and listen to it. YouTube can be your friend. Turn on something funny and listen to it. So your environment in your bedroom becomes something good and not part of, you're not carrying that stress to bed with you. Also, when thinking about your environment, maybe you're going to burn some candles. A scent that makes you feel good. A scent that just is like, so that you, as you smell and you walk around, because our senses are truly impacted by our stress. So you're tapping into that. So what you smell, what you see, what you hear, turn on something funny. All of those are part of your environment. So you want to have a positive impact on your environment. Number 7, get active. If you don't have time or money to go to the gym, go to YouTube. If you're listening to this or watching this, you have access to YouTube because you have access to the internet because you're watching this on the internet or on a phone, or however you're accessing this, the same way you can access YouTube. You can find an exercise for any part of your body for any activity level on YouTube. So get moving. If if it's not the gym, get moving. If you can't afford weights, get bottles of water. And that's a 2-pound weight, and you can lift them. Be creative. Get out and go for a walk. We're in springtime now. Good time to get out. Dance around the house. This goes back to that creativity. Just put on some music and just dance. It's not about being perfect. It's not about being a good dancer. It's about expressing yourself and getting out there doing it. Number 8, be willing to plan. Why do I say be willing to plan? There's an adage, proper planning prevents poor performance. And I say that proper planning not only prevents poor performance, it can also let you know what to expect and decrease your stress. One of the things that people often find stressful is the unknown. And maybe your control of the unknown is planning. Now, we can't plan for everything, and there are other people that impact what we're doing. But planning, putting things in advance, the more you can have in order, the better you can deal with it when it happens. Can incidentals come up? Yes. But if you're planned for them, you're better off. Number 9, be willing to focus, be willing to forgive, and to practice gratitude. Forgiveness just allows you to get rid of a lot of negative energy. When you're holding unforgiveness for someone, you're holding on to so much negativity, negative energy in your life. Do you need it? No. If you're already stressed, that's negative energy. If there are people in your life that are causing the stress, maybe you can't even get rid of them. Forgive them for what they've done, what is going on, so you can move forward. Forgiveness is not about the other person. From a spiritual point of view, forgiveness is about your relationship with God, not your relationship with the other person. From a worldly point of view, as you release them from whatever is going on, you're free to go and have positive energy. That unforgiveness is holding a space of negativity in your life that you don't need. Release it. Let it go. Practice gratitude. The more you can be thankful for, that can have psychological benefits. And if you're benefiting and putting more positive energy in your life, that can decrease some of the stress. Finding things to be grateful for allows you to change your focus. It's not going to necessarily get rid of the stress, but it changes what you're focusing on. And when you change what you're focusing on, you're better. Number 10, seek professional help. This means both physical, from a physician, from a physical point of view, and a mental health point of view. Stress can have negative consequences in every area of your life. Get help. Talk to your physician. Talk to a mental health provider. Get help because it's real. It won't disappear just because you don't think you need to have it. Now, I left a few minutes to talk about the spiritual connection. There is an old adage, I'm too blessed to be stressed. I've talked about it before and I want to talk about it again. Why I like to disprove that theory. I say I'm stressed and blessed because there are times we will allow stress to enter our life. It doesn't mean we're not blessed. And when you say I'm too blessed to be stressed, does that mean when I'm stressed, I'm not blessed? Or you feel that way, people will feel that way. I've had that conversation. So, no, just know that God knows when you are stressed. That is something we can give to Him. We can pray and say, God, I'm not walking in this place of stress no more. Show me what I need to do. He can take that. We can give it to Him. But just because you're walking right now in a place of stressed life doesn't mean you aren't blessed. That's where that gratitude comes in. What can you be grateful for, even in the midst of everything stressing you out? What is something you can be grateful for? Find it, hold on to it, and thank God for it so that you can be stressed and blessed. Now, you want to hold on to the blessing and not the stress. But understand that if you are feeling stressed, God is still there. God still loves you. God's still holding on to you. You just feeling stressed. And He's like, okay, my child, you don't have to be. So, yes, you can be stressed, but you don't have to stay there. So, hopefully tonight we put stress in a different perspective and you're able to realize, yeah, I can be stressed. I don't have to stay there. But I also want you to understand how serious it is, how it impacts your physical body and your mental body. And it can cause a breakdown. And as the doctor told me, it can be fatal to your health if you stay there. And if we looked at, chronic stress and severe stress, you can see how it will tear your body down. So if you're experiencing stress and you've experienced it too long, get help. So my call to action for this week is to rest, sleep, and be still. Practice gratitude, practice forgiveness, celebrate your life, celebrate others, find joy. And if there is a problem, acknowledge it. Remember, stress does not mean you're weak, it means you're human. It means it's something in your life you need to adjust, but you are human. So find that stress that you're experiencing, manage it, get the help you need. And lastly, as always, be an educated voter. We just came out of an election cycle, and I've heard some interesting things people said. Well, I feel like I needed to vote. I never voted in a primary before, so I went. I didn't really know who to vote for, so I just went and pulled some levers if I like the name. Be an educated voter. You can always go to vote411.org and read about every race that's on your ballot. So be an educated voter. So this week, manage your stress a little better. If it's there, get some help. Don't let stress take over your life. I'll see you next week, and our topic will be talking with someone who's going to help us understand what's really going on with suicide in the African American community. It's not a pretty thing. It's something we need to address. See you next week.